Okay, hello there everyone, and welcome to today's University Business Web Seminar. It's great to have you all with us. My name is Kurt Early. I'm the Web Seminar Editor here at UB. Thanks so much for joining us. The title of our event, as you see here, is Closing the Student Skills Gap in a Changing Economy, and is being brought to you through the generous support of our sponsor for today, Campus Management. First off, before we get started, a bit of background about our topic here as members of our audience are still coming in. With the new world created by the COVID-19 pandemic, many students are questioning their majors, faculty are questioning how to make their courses relevant, and advisors are questioning how best to advise students. Today we have a great panel that includes leaders from Coppin State University and Central Arizona College, who will be discussing how these institutions have re-engineered their business strategies and technology platforms to increase student engagement, satisfaction, and career outcomes to better meet the challenges of today's changing economy. We're looking forward to an interesting presentation and discussion here, plus Q&A. We welcome your questions, so do stay tuned. We're going to get started in just another minute or two here. But first, just some standard housekeeping here. The first item, as it says here, for tech support, you can use the chat panel at the right at any time. If you need any help, just send a message to our event host and producer, Jason York. Let him know if you're having any issues. He'll be able to help you out there. Also, the second item, if you are having any audio problems at any time, we will post the phone number and access code in that chat panel at the right. You can dial those at any time to listen in over the phone if you need that or if you prefer that at any time. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we welcome your questions for our panelists. You can ask a question at any time as we're going here. Just to do so, you just type it in the Q&A, bottom right-hand corner of your screen there, and we'll get to those at the end for the Q&A session with the audience. So once again, feel free to type in a question at any time in that Q&A box, bottom right-hand corner of your screen there. Also, speaking of questions, last item on the slide here, as you see, we are commonly asked about accessing the content of our presentations at a later time. People are interested in the slides or the archive recording. And yes, just so everyone knows, everyone who registered or attended here today, you'll be getting a follow-up email with links to where you can find the recording. We are recording here. It'll be archived on the UB site. And it'll also have links to the slides where you can access those as well. So if you want to go back over it at your own pace or share with any of your colleagues, anyone on your team at your institution, you'll be able to do that at a later time. So don't worry about that. Okay, so with that, on to our program. As I said earlier, we have a great panel here. We're excited to have with us leaders from Coppin State University, as well as Central Arizona College and Burning Glass. I'm going to turn it over to Ray Blackwood, who's VP of Product Management at Campus Management, to give us a bit of an introduction and introduce our panelists and moderate our discussion here. So, Ray, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to today's webinar.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for taking the time today to join us on this topic that we think is very relevant to what's going on in higher education today. And that's closing the student skills gap in a changing economy. We have a great group of presenters or speakers here today. We've got Dr. Gregory. She's the Interim Dean of Business at Coppin State, along with Dr. Ahmed Al-Hagan, who's the VP and CIO at Coppin State as well. We're also joined by Dr. Sandra Brightwell from Central Arizona College, who oversees the Health and Information Management, and Matthew Siegelman, who is the CEO of a company called Burning Glass. I'm Raymond Todd Blackwood, Vice President of Product Management at Campus Management, and I'm really excited to bring you guys this topic today and start the conversation off. And with that, I'm going to start off with introducing Burning Glass. Preparing students for success includes preparing them for the job market. Matt, will you tell us a little bit about Burning Glass? How did the company get its start, and what's your mission?
Class's work is in taking a big data approach to analyzing careers in the job market. We collect millions of job postings each day from around the world, actually well over 1 billion historically, and we analyze hundreds of millions of people's career histories each year in order to map the landscape of opportunity that surrounds higher education. Educators are used to putting students first. That's what we do. It's what we should do. But if higher education's also a bridge to opportunity, you need to know where those opportunities are, what they look like, what skills and credentials they require. And so we develop that kind of granular insight to help hundreds of colleges and universities identify new program opportunities, to be able to undertake program review more dynamically, and make sure that their curricula are building the skills that will differentiate their graduates, to help them make sure that they can boost enrollments by articulating the career value of their programs and by delivering more robust advising. Funny, we got our start, ironically, not in education, but in industry, where we work with thousands of companies, actually, in helping them manage their recruitment pipelines. And one of the things we came to appreciate is that there's so much focus on having the best searching engines, the best matching technologies. You can have the best technology in the world, but it's still all too dependent on cosmic coincidences. You know, does the right candidate happen to apply when you happen to be looking? And we realized that unless people have a map, unless employers know where the talent is, but also unless students know where the opportunities are, they can't prepare themselves, they can't plan that search, and they don't wind up with good outcomes.
Thanks a lot. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. So helping students in these challenging times, what can schools do to help students get good jobs in a bad market?
So higher education, important to realize, I mean, this is, as you say, it's a bad market, and that's certainly an understatement. We know that hiring activity is down about 45% just since the start of the crisis, so a tremendous breakdown. But it's important to realize that higher education is coming into this crisis with a pre-existing condition. From our research, we know that even in the white-hot job market that characterized the past few years, 43% of recent graduates have been winding up in jobs that don't require their degree, 43%. And by the way, those who start off underemployed mostly stay underemployed, even 5 or 10 years out. So I worry a lot about current students and their prospects for launching successfully. I think to address this, you'll want to approach the problem differently for the class of 2020, the class of 2021, and then the classes of 2022 and beyond. For the class of 2020, they're graduating into a maelstrom, and so their biggest priority should be on landing a job, any job, right? So not the perfect job. They're competing with 34 million newly unemployed people, many of whom are more experienced. And unlike past recessions, which largely spared the college-educated, in terms of what we're seeing in hiring activity, which is a little bit different from what you're seeing right now in the initial unemployment claims, this fall off in hiring for college-level jobs is actually pretty much equal to that for jobs for high school graduates. So that's very different from past recessions and very troubling. Now, if you're on the Titanic, you want to get into a lifeboat. And so, again, there are a bunch of jobs that actually are still hiring today. A lot of them are not the kind of jobs that students went to school to get. So you get into a lifeboat, but let's remember the North Atlantic is cold. You're not going to make it to shore without finding a rescue boat. And so a graduate who finds herself in a personal care aide job, for example, which is a low-paying, low-skilled, unpleasant job, can navigate to a broader array of better-paying healthcare jobs over time if she keeps acquiring the right skills. A graduate who takes a job as a contact tracer, a lot of demand right now for people to be able to track people who've been exposed to the virus, can move on to a range of social service or health informatics careers just by picking up a few additional skills. So what we want to be able to do is help support support the class of 2020, not just land into a lifeboat, but keep moving, as Winston Churchill put it. If you find yourself going through hell, keep going. For the class of 2021, it's still probably too late to change course. You're in the program of study you're in, but there is still an opportunity to acquire the skills that build value and differentiate graduates. There are a new set of foundational skills that characterize high-value work in the 21st century, and the new economy is actually even more intensive in its demand for the human skills that form the bedrock of liberal arts, but also they have demand for not only those human skills, but also for sets of digital skills, data skills, and business skills, skills like project management that are broadly in demand across pretty much every kind of job. And people who have those skills, we can make sure that the class of 2021 is prepared with those sets of skills. They will differentiate themselves. They will get salary premiums. A lot of students head for marketing careers, as an example. A marketing assistant makes $36,000 a year on average. A marketing assistant who just picks up SQL database skills, ability to manipulate customer data, she's going to make $51,000, $15,000 more. And so I think that's sort of the key for the class of 2021. But the class of 2022, the key is going to be to navigate to where we think the jobs are going to be that are going to drive the recovery.
Thanks a lot, man. That's so great to have those insights and be have such real-time access to the data as things are going on. I'm going to ask a couple of our panelists the next set of questions. I'm going to point this question to Dr. Gregory and Dr. Brightwell about some of the enrollment challenges and what we think the fall is going to look like. We can see here a recent survey found that 1 out of every 10 students who plan to go to a residential four-year college before the pandemic have changed their plans. So my question is, and I'll ask Dr. Gregory to go first, is what are you hearing from your applicants or students about their outlook for the fall, and are you adjusting enrollment numbers at this point?
Yes, we have been monitoring closely our enrollment, and we've engaged in intensive outreach with our new recruits as well as our currently enrolled students. And the one message that's coming through clearly is that there really is a lot of uncertainty. Students who had planned to come on board, some of them have actually decided to kind of put on hold until they work through some economic or family issues. We are looking at students who committed and we're expecting them to come on board, but again, there may be a level of uncertainty with that. I guess so the common theme that we're hearing throughout is there is a level of uncertainty, and we expect that some of these students will be many of these students will be making their decision throughout the summer. So we're going to continue with our engagement and responding to their questions and concerns, but we don't know just yet what the final numbers are going to look like. We do know, however, we are not adjusting our enrollment because it's quite interesting, but our enrollment today is higher than it was same time last year. So we actually, I know this can change, but at this point in time, we are not making adjustments.
That's really interesting. Dr. Brightwell, what are your observations?
Good morning. Similarly, at Central Arizona College, in terms of fall enrollment, we are seeing just a small decrease from last year at the same time, at a 7% decrease in enrollment. However, our enrollment opened up on April 6th, so we're just about a month into it. So we're pretty optimistic that our numbers are going to look positive for the fall. We're also doing intensive call campaigns to students and upping our social media campaigns, recruiting students. If I may, I'd like to mention for summer, we jumped into this right away. We converted everything to online. Our summer enrollment's down significantly. It's down 25%, and the semester kicks off on May 26th. We're offering 3 free credits to each student this summer, whether they're an existing student or a brand new student. That's the equivalent of 3 in-state tuition credit hours. And kind of jump into a next question, but we're trying to remove barriers for our students. We've dropped the developmental prerequisites for our courses and placement testing for summer and fall. We converted our advising operation completely online, which is something that our college hadn't done before. So we're looking different, feeling different, and seems to be working at this point.
So a lot of personalized outreach, phone calls, virtual advising. Dr. Gregory, what kind of initiatives have you all put in place to help students come back in the fall? Not so much for your new student recruits, but for those that you're hoping that will come back.
Well, they're not so much initiatives, I guess, as it is an overall strategy. At Coppin, we have moved forward with a regular and consistent messaging to our currently enrolled students. We have a higher level of student engagement, and it starts at the top with our president, Burnham, who has held virtual town hall meetings with our students, with our faculty, with our staff. We've had shared governance meetings. We've had regular emails from the president's office down. So we can see now that there's a level of transparency and communication that I believe has quite favorably influenced our students' behavior. Additionally, we've had a number of faculty advisors and staff advisors who are reaching out to students. Who we've made a deliberate effort to be highly responsive and engaging with the students and responding to their questions and concerns. We are looking at our financial aid office, for example, doing early packaging and communicating with students. Student support areas, putting emphasis on responding to students, reaching out to students, addressing their concerns in a timely manner. So I guess the overall arching point is that we are encouraging students to come back by engaging them this semester while we have them here. So we want to make sure that they understand what we're doing, how we're going about doing things, and that we're prepared to respond to them in a timely manner.
That's great. In a previous conversation we had, we talked about at this time it's important to create a culture of caring. And it sounds like that's what's going on more and more is you're starting to see the whole institution come together and show their love and support and their care for these students and show that they're committed to them, not just in this semester, but the ones that are coming up in the future. So I'm gonna change gears over here to connecting the job skills to courses. And if you want to continue, I'm gonna ask Dr. Gregory again. Do you worry about needing to prove your value to both new applicants and returning students? And have you all put any more emphasis on connecting job skills to courses?
I must admit that we've had pretty much a traditional model in the past where our students would get to the sophomore, junior year, enroll in internship classes, have work experiences during the semester or in the summer, and hopefully work toward making that materialize into a job placement upon graduation. We had not done a lot with skill building in the past, but we recently started with the new platform, and I'm so excited about it because it does just that. It helps us help the students build their career pathway. And the way that has worked for Coppin is that we put together a team of, we are doing a pilot program for the fall semester in the College of Business with the intent of rolling this out to the entire campus. But what we're actually doing is we built a team of faculty members in the College of Business. With this particular platform, we'll be introducing students and helping them plan and develop their career path from the day they step on campus. The way it works is with this platform, our students will be able to identify the skills that are required for the jobs. They'll know how to go about moving forward. And to make it work for our students, what we've done is we've embedded modules throughout the entire business curriculum. Starting with freshman year, we have about 3 required courses for our students that we're embedding this particular platform. They go to the sophomore year, the junior year, and then the senior year. But every year we're having these key touch points. And what do we have in these touch points? Students will learn about career choices, the average salary in those career areas, the location of the job opportunities, and by geographical area. They'll learn about growth trends for their career options, and they will work toward the skills that are required for the positions. It's quite simple. It's very exciting. The tool is quite easy for our students to use, but it works like this. Freshman year, the students have required modules built into their classes, those required courses. When the students take those courses, they're required to go into this platform and they're to answer specific questions. Initially, that freshman year, the questions are quite simple. The students, we want them to maximize the time that they spend surfing around on the site, learning about the job, selecting potential career options, looking at skills, looking at trends, and spending time in answering questions. And then they post those assignments freshman year. Sophomore year, we bump it up just a little bit. The assignment becomes a little more detailed. In addition to going on the site and pulling information, now the students have to compare. They said in the first part, at the first level, they select 3 career choices. Now, in the second level, they have to compare them. They have to answer specific questions. They have to say why they've chosen one and their advantages. So it's a little more in-depth in terms of the assignment. By the time the students get to the junior year, we've embedded this particular platform into a capstone course in business communication. We think that's important because in that business communication course, the students are already doing resumes, they're already learning to do cover letters, they're required to create LinkedIn accounts, and they have to do what we call a gap analysis. They have to go into this platform. They have to look at the skills that are required of the jobs that they've selected, the career choices they've selected. They have to look at the skills that are required, and then they have to look at the skills that they themselves have acquired and to see if there's a gap, and they have to explain how they can close the gap. What courses in our curriculum can they go to develop those? Okay. Then the next thing that they do for the senior year is a capstone experience. In the capstone experience, the students will do a portfolio where they will combine all the experience freshman through senior year. They combine those experiences and they develop a portfolio that they share with their classmates, that they learn from each other, and they start narrowing down their career choices. At the end of the semester, the team members, the faculty team members, lead members get together, evaluate the portfolios, collect data, and we use it for assessment and program development. So we think this is an incredible resource that we have. And we see moving forward. And the one piece I did not discuss was the skills, the development of the skills. We're in the process now of aligning or mapping the skills for each of these key career options by program area, by course. So if a student is going to take a particular introductory level accounting course, that student will know what skills he or she would acquire and how it's linked back to the career choices that they've selected. So we're excited about this platform. We're at the latter stage of its development with the plan of bringing the pilot program on board this fall semester. So we're excited about it. And my colleagues, the other deans, we've been sharing information with them, and they're equally as excited to look for opportunities to not make the career development piece so late in their matriculation, junior year, senior year, but that we embed it throughout the curriculum. So we're excited about that.
That's fantastic. And it resonates with what I believe in developing our student information system over the years has been an important part of our retention strategy too, is to bring this data to students much earlier on or continually, even as they're searching for classes, to be able to make these links. I want to ask Dr. Brightwell a question. How can you help students understand what skill sets are going to be in more demand? And how can they gain new skill sets that will help them be more prepared for success in the job market?
Thank you. So I do want to mention that Central Arizona College is a community college in rural Arizona. We are a Hispanic serving institution, so it sounds like we may have a different landscape literally than Dr. Gregory sharing. So I just wanted to mention that we're dealing with students that are coming to college for specific degrees and certificates aligning with a desired occupation or that goal of transferability to the university. So I just wanted to mention that. One of the things that we are implementing at Central Arizona College, which seems to be quite timely with COVID-19 and what we're discussing today, although it's not new to higher ed, it's new to CAC, and that's the implementation of officially utilizing the guided pathways model for our curriculum. I oversee a healthcare program. I feel we've followed the guided pathways model since the beginning of time, and many other occupational degrees would follow suit, but we're following the guided pathways model throughout our whole college that I think will help students understand not only the curriculum that's needed, but having those conversations with students to help them understand what a particular degree, what job market or career pathway that'll lead to will, organically happen in those conversations. In addition to that, for the last several months, our college has been configuring a new system that we will be going live with in the fall, which is again timely, which is Occupation Insight. And that's a cloud-based platform that links career information, skill information, aligns with programs and so forth with our student information system, and is a phenomenal tool that will allow us to have even more meaningful conversations with new students, existing students, students about to graduate. What do I want to be when I grow up? There's still that question in their mind. And so that platform that we're using will be phenomenal. It has visualizations and different reporting mechanisms. Again, it links with our student information system, but it also pulls in national labor market data, local labor market data. So I think it will help have, a tremendous impact on helping students understand what they need to get to where they want to be. It also shows the demand of those particular desires. So if they desire to be a basket weaver, there may not be a huge demand for that. So this tool will help maybe change their mind in a sense, maybe be something different where there's a huge demand for cybersecurity experts and so forth. So I think that the use of this data, blending it with the curriculum and what we have to offer at Central Arizona College is just going to be a complete game changer for our students and our advisors and leads in our different academic programs. I think it's just going to really accelerate that success for the students and helping them understand what they need to do to get to where they want to be. I have conversations every day with students, and I do remind them that we're here to help you, and these are the tools and resources that we have. But at the end of the day, it's up to the student to do the work, right? It's up to them to be invested and for them to pull their weight, and we're all here to help them do that. But I do think that, they have to remember that it is that two-way street, but we're here to provide that assistance, hand-holding if it's necessary, show them opportunities they didn't even know existed, things of that nature. So that's our main, I think, newest process that we'll be implementing at Central Arizona College.
That's fantastic. And I see there's a lot of questions coming in the Q&A, and we're going to get to those at the end, but keep them coming, and we'll get to as many of those as we possibly can. But I do want to give Ahmed a chance to speak. Dr. El-Hagan, I have a question for you. What are the implications of change and opportunity landscape for existing programs?
right? It's huge. It's tremendous. Let me give you an example. And again, we partnering with Dr. Gregory in the College of Business as a pilot. So I'm going to give you an example from the College of Business. We offer a bachelor degree in accounting. Okay, when we tailored Occupation Insight to our program offering, when you choose Bachelor of Science in Accounting, currently there's about 177,000 job posting that requires this degree. But if you look into the career area, let's say for finance, and how many jobs and how many titles are there, such as accountant, auditor, budget analyst, financial examiner, and tons of those. The whole landscape is full of that. Now, okay, so I see the focus, and this can play a bigger role in focusing our curriculum, our offering, our faculty thinking about what we offer. Okay, a bachelor degree in accounting, there is tons of jobs are available. Some of them, as just mentioned by Dr. Brightwell, have more higher demand than others. Some of them has more salaries offering than others. Each one of them, still bachelor in accounting, requires different skill level, and the employers are asking for different skills. Some are common, some are very specialized. So when you look at it, we have to, that's what our faculty doing at this point. In the Bachelor of Accounting, we cannot offer everything for everything. So what are the job titles that we are going to focus on making sure our students acquire those skills by the time they graduate? And we say, let's assume that our faculty will choose accounting, auditor, accountant. I'm just accounts payable, financial aid counselor, different things, financial analyst. They can now go and find out what are the job skills in each one of these that are much in higher demand in the market using the data we have in Occupation Insight. It's a very easy system to use. Otherwise, nobody will use it. And then you can start thinking about those job skills. What's common between all these? What's specialized in each one of them? How we can actually tailor our courses to make sure we cover this. And then, as Dr. Gregory mentioned, we cannot do everything. So the students have access to this, and they can actually find where are some of the gaps that they want to take ownership of and make sure they have those skills as well beyond what we offered as on courses at Coppin State University. So the change of landscape is going to be great, and just only about existing programs. It's going to change how we think. It's going to change how we offer. It's going to tailor what we do. We're going to be true when you tell a student, actually accounting, going to find a job. We know they will because we know the job market. We know the workforce analytics there. We know what skills they need, and we know that they're going to be marketable. And the process Dr. Gregory is implementing, which actually makes sure they use that product, they understand it, they analyze it, and then they put themselves into a LinkedIn environment so they can start building relationship and finding jobs. And then translate that from accounting to, let's say, social work or to nursing, and repeat doing this is going to be a great change, in my opinion, in how we offer programs, how we assess programs, and the opportunities we're going to provide to our students to get a job after they graduate. The other part is Dr. Gregory. She's very fascinating when we talk from an IT perspective with our partners in the business, like Dr. Gregory. It gives relevance to the students in the courses they are taking. Meaning, why I'm taking this course? Well, if this course is going to provide me the following skills and the employers want those skills, then there is relevancy for that course and why I'm taking it. It adds another maybe dimension for the students to understand why they are taking these courses and why they should do more in the course to acquire all those skills. Get another level of understanding to the students, relevancy, as I said, and make them persevere more and more in acquiring this knowledge.
That's great insight. Matt, do you have any final thoughts as we wrap up this topic here on connecting job skills to courses?
Yeah, just a quick thought, just to amplify a point that Dr. El-Hagan just made. I think a lot of this comes down to language. And I think the example of an accounting course, both in terms of the occupations, the broader array of occupations that are relevant, but also the broader array of skills that are relevant is a great example of this. Higher education is, in a lot of cases, already leading the forefront of research, and therefore is already teaching many of the right kinds of skills, many advanced skills that are key to 21st century work. The problem is that higher education tends to use the language of learning outcomes. And that's not a language that actually necessarily translates directly to the language of skills that drive the job market. So you wind up with these very interesting disjoints where you've got employers looking for sets of skills, and on the other hand, higher education not necessarily using the same vocabulary. That leads to a couple of problems. One, it impedes us from helping and empowering our students to articulate the very valuable skills that we're teaching them. And I think that was something which Dr. Gregory talked about before about the work that Coppin is doing to make sure that students can speak that language, can speak the language of the market, and can write better resumes, write better LinkedIn profiles that reference the sets of skills that will be valuable in a job search. But it's also a problem in terms of how we review our programs and how we review our curriculum. If your curriculum doesn't speak the same language, it's hard to look at it and understand both where are the strengths that you can call out, but also where are the gaps. We've done a lot of work with quite a number of colleges and universities where we've applied an engine that we've developed for being able to analyze curriculum. And one of the things that you find is that even some institutions that are really ahead of the curve in making sure that their curricula are up to date, that they're teaching the sets of skills graduates are going to need, often wind up with a lot of gaps. Take the example of a human resources program I know we recently looked at within the School of Business of a leading university. One of the things that we found, if you sort of think about what's the academic pedigree or etymology, if you will, origins of a human resources course, it's really in industrial labor relations. And so sure enough, students were getting, were long on industrial labor relations skills, and they were coming up short on a lot of the sets of talent management and talent development skills that are much more the fabric of today's HR. So sort of a good example. It also keeps us from, that language disjoint also winds up keeping institutions from being able to better empower their faculty to be out front. We're often used to sort of thinking about faculty too often standing in the way of modernizing curriculum, of making sure they're skill relevant. But actually what we found is that faculty can be great partners in this process. An example of the University of Central Florida, which has done a lot of work to simply provide the kind of data that lives within Occupational Insights to various departments. And they literally have gone around to something like 65 departments, and in each one they said, look, we're not here to tell you what to teach, but we want you to understand what the market is asking of your students and the language that they're asking, in which they're asking it. And when they started doing that, what they found was that, in fact, a lot of faculty started looking at this and saying, wow, we didn't know, and became very engaged in trying to problem solve around it. I remember the analogy that was used was of Jane Goodall, where you just leave the bananas in the field and you watch what happens, and sure enough, a lot of the faculty became very engaged. So I think one of the things that's key here is to be able to track that job market language and to be able to make effective bridges back to curriculum, both so that we can articulate what we're doing, but also so that we can see those gaps.
Thanks, Matt. I think the language is one of those important things that we're trying to work on in terms of helping surface this data up to institutions so they could see what's going out there in the market. I want to talk a little bit about career services and advising now. So in March, Handshake did a survey of about 1,000 traditional age college students, that were asked, how can University Career Services help you at this time? We can see the responses here, and it's clear that, you know, they're very open to virtual career advising sessions, and they're still very interested to understand what kind of relationships the institution has with employers and to help the institution facilitate a relationship there. I just want to ask a question, Dr. Gregory. How do your advisors currently use the job market and skills data to advise students on program and course selection?
Well, at Coppin, we do have staff advisors, but all faculty members are advisors as well. So we're looking at a more holistic approach for faculty. We say that faculty own the programs, but faculty now are working, business faculty are working closely with our LinkedIn, with our labor market information, and we're able to not only have occupation insight embedded in our curriculum, but it carries over to after class time, the in-class activity as well as out of class. So it's a part of our advising, it's a part of our career counseling, it's a part of just interaction with students in general. Because we think it's going to take a lot to move forward and to transition from that old model that we had to one that's more relevant, more hands-on, and having this whole process of looking at careers, job placement, skills, looking at all of that and embedding it in pretty much everything we do. So that's the plan, is to have our faculty advisors as well as our staff advisor to make full use of occupation insight to support the students with their career plans.
You said a couple things in there that are kind of relevant to some of the questions that I'm seeing coming in from our attendees. Is everyone here planning on having face-to-face classes in the fall? And are you thinking about how you're going to do these kind of these advising appointments with social distancing at all? Or are all your classes being offered online in the fall? Those are kind of a combination of questions.
Well, currently we are online, but no final decision has been made for the fall semester at this time. We're doing a few different scenarios. We're going to be taking a look at what if we're fully online next semester? What if we have hybrid or some campus-based classes? Or what happens if we have some classes that are full face-to-face? But we have no official decision has been made. But regardless of what platform or what delivery mode we have, our plan is to continue the extensive engagement with students. And this platform makes it really easy to do because the students can log on at any time and access and provide the information as they respond to the various assignments and tasks that we have embedded throughout the curriculum. So regardless of what teaching modality, we will be able to move forward with our Occupation Insight project this fall semester.
If I make a follow-up to what Dr. Gregory just mentioned, we are working in making Occupation Insight available to our students in the fall. So the faculty can actually, if they choose to, have a virtual session with the students, both of them looking at the same tool, looking at the same analysis, or trying to analyze things in the same time, because the students will have access to it. It's a cloud service, it's based on cloud service, going to have the portal there, and the students can do the same, faculty can do the same thing with the students in this environment, in a virtual environment, like if they are doing it on the classroom. That's one thing we're doing. The other part, I see you have it there. Being now in charge as well of social advancement, we're going to find ways to open Occupation Insight to our alumni. We know that people change their careers several times and they go from one job to the other that require different skills. So we're looking into how we can actually bring alumni to Occupation Insights to help them with the job market and what's going on as well. So being in the cloud and having the system available to everybody from wherever they are is going to actually help if we go online completely in the fall or in a hybrid situation.
Thanks for that insight, and thanks for getting and addressing some of the questions that are coming through in the Q&A. In terms of strategic program opportunities, I have a question for Dr. Brightwell. On a more strategic level, do you see your institution using data like this to help evaluate the value of current and future programs? I know Matt spoke about that a little earlier from his point of view, but from your point of view, are you looking to possibly add additional programs or change current offerings based off of this data?
Yes, one of our benefits at the moment is we recently brought a new institutional research effectiveness director on board who has dove into the data significantly and is helping streamline some of that information to our leaders in our institution to help us understand the true picture of what we're dealing with in terms of programs, enrollment, and all that good stuff, as well as planning for the future. And so, again, we're an early adopter of Occupation Insight, and we intend to use that data to help us determine from the labor market locally in Arizona, as well as surrounding areas that make sense to consider, what programs that we would want to maintain, some that we may need to sunset, others that we may want to look at bringing on board. At the moment, I'm not aware of any programs that are on that sunset list. Currently, we're operating as under that Guided Pathways model. We've spent a tremendous amount of time in the last couple of years getting that ready to launch, which required some shifting of things. But data is where it's at, where our college is very driven on that to make decisions. Program reviews of program leads will require them to justify, any changes to their existence. And so I think data just is, obviously crucial. And as things are changing with COVID-19 and the impact it may have on our community college, we'll be looking at it even closer. That's what comes to mind to answer that question for you.
That's fantastic. In light of time, I want to make sure that we do have enough time to answer a couple of questions. So I'm just going to change over to our last question. I'm going to put this out to Matt. In a time of financial stress, feels like the wrong time to grow. But are there opportunities here for schools willing to make bold moves? And if so, what are they?
Indeed, it's a great question. I think it seems indeed like a tough environment. A lot of institutions are anticipating the potential for a very significant drop in enrollments in the fall. And that has the potential to create severe financial pressure. A natural reaction in this time would be to retrench. But it's worth remembering that there are now 34 million Americans recently displaced from work who need the skills to reposition themselves, and there are 150 million workers who need out in the workforce who need to develop the skills to stay relevant in a time where we're seeing a profound acceleration of some of the future of work kind of displacements that we've been anticipating. Higher education has always been about developing skills in our students. Institutions that can rapidly develop and launch programs, probably non-degreed, that help people acquire skills efficiently and on the fly are going to be able to tap a huge potential new market. The key is developing programs that serve targeted opportunities for people in your community to upskill or reskill. So you need to be able to understand what are the jobs that are in demand, who are the people who can move into them, and what are the specific sets of skills that may help make that transition. I was just speaking with a top business school, actually, which wants to launch a set of programs to help managers acquire this sort of data skills to be able to manage data projects and technology projects. Increasingly, that's something which managers have to do. And managers are increasingly, by the way, a challenged job. Actually, we're seeing a faster fall off in demand for management hiring than for hiring at large. Managers who have data science skills, let's say you're a supply chain manager. If you pick up data science skills, you're making $23,000 more than a a manager, a supply chain manager who doesn't have them. A marketing manager with those data science skills would be making I think it's $27,000 more than one who doesn't have them. So really tremendous opportunities to help people move up. And that's going to have a lot of market if we can articulate that to students and if we can get them right. It's also an opportunity to help people reposition themselves. A graphic designer who learns JavaScripting and prototyping and wireframing, just small package of skills, can make successful transition to being a UI UX developer and make about $40,000 a year more. We need to realize that we're often already teaching those sets of skills. How can we build in real time the kind of packages that allow us to unlock the value of those skills for a much broader community of learners? Institutions who can do that are going to actually flourish in this market.
Thanks. Dr. Ahmed, any final thoughts that you want to add, or Dr. Brightwell or Dr. Gregory? I've got about 4 minutes left where I can ask maybe one or two questions.
Well, yes, I'll say to Gregory, I would just like to add that one of the things our business school is doing is preparing to launch a data science degree program. The good part about that is once we build the core program elements, some of these courses can be taken by students who are not data science majors, as you mentioned, the accounting major or the marketing major, because what we're going to have to see happen is a transformation that allow us to take traditional programs and enhance them. And everybody knows data has been a common denominator. So we're excited about the data science. We're also doing a certificate program in enterprise systems. We think that these kinds of combinations will help us move forward into the next academic year and beyond.
And this is Dr. Brightwell, and I just wanted to add, again, our landscape is different. We're in rural Arizona. We're competing with the University of Arizona and Arizona State University. We're located right in between these two institutions. And I'm still optimistic, hoping that with the situation, with the world tipped over a little bit, that our outlook for the fall is going to be positive, that students will stay local instead of going off to the university for comfort and so on. There's a couple questions on the chat about face-to-face classes in the fall. I just wanted to address that real quickly, if I may. Currently, our schedule is released for fall. Classes that generally are offered face-to-face are listed that way on our schedule at the moment. There is a little caveat clause that states that, you know, each course may be transformed into a remote experience if COVID-19 situation were to cause that to happen. And so we're just preparing that way. I mean, we're a smaller college, and so another question in the chat was, how are we preparing for social distancing? I can tell you right now, finishing the spring semester, some of our healthcare classes has required students to still come in, and they're doing it one-on-one with the instructor to demonstrate the skills that they needed to in order to graduate and complete the degree and get the license that they're hoping for, and so on. So just wanted to kind of finalize by saying those couple of things as I noticed in the chat here. So thanks, Ray.
Yeah, and with 2 minutes left, I'm going to take one of the questions that was in the list, and that was by Raj. Let's see if we can pull it back up here. And he was asking about creative ways. Yeah, right here. Creative ideas are examples of increasing student participation and engagement with career planning and preparation events. What examples of incentives encourage participation, and do incentives actually work? We have to answer in 2 minutes. I mean, I heard some great examples from the panelists already. Weaving them directly into the coursework for throughout the entire process, right? Having freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors all be thinking about the future, not just what am I going to do next semester, what next class am I going to take, but how is what I'm learning this semester going to keep me focused or interested, or most importantly, curious about what skills and jobs are available related to my curriculum as I move forward. I thought that was one of the great creative ideas that we heard in here today. But if anybody else has anything off the top of their head.
I see a question there about admission, people leveraging this technology? And the answer is yes. At Coppin, we're implementing an Engage project with campus management called Engage. Part of the portal is Occupation Insight to enable our admission officers to actually discuss the programs we have, the job market they prepare to, and the skills students will take. So the answer to the question is yes, is part of what we are doing and what we are implementing, and we are exposing not just our admission people, but people who do actually orientations, do first year experience. So it's a campus-wide plan to include workforce analytics and occupation insight in every aspect of what we do with the students.
I would agree with everything you just said, as well as add that we're using it, even or intend to use it as an exit strategy as well when students are facing graduation and may still be uncertain what their future holds. I think that would involve the faculty and the key leads over specific programs. Again, I'm a little biased and a little different in that I oversee an accredited occupational degree program. I'm lucky to have our accreditor have specific standards that we must follow that involve these skills and knowledge and so forth, and we can't really deviate from them. We can only meet those or establish higher standards. But OI, the Occupation Insight, is a piece that will just kind of tie it all together for our students, and at every touch point of their experience with a college individual, or even they'll have access to that in their student portal to play around with it on their own.
And one last point is that our students have an opportunity to see the relevance of some of these skills. So when the professor is covering content and having certain requirements, and the student wants to know, why do we have to do this? When they go back into Occupation Insight, they can see the relevance of the various skills that are mapped to those classes and the degree program.
Okay, and we're going a little bit over, but I think all of our panelists and all of our attendees or participants for listening in today, I'm going to hand it back over to Jason for a quick wrap up. But I know there's some outstanding questions, and we'll get those questions documented and put together in our final materials as we share this with you guys for further reading and follow up.
Great. Yes, thank you so much, Ray. Thanks for leading our discussion here. It's really interesting to hear all these perspectives. And thank you so much to our audience for all your great questions. Really appreciate you participating in our discussion here. If we weren't able to get to your question, we'll be gathering all of those, and someone will follow up with you afterwards if there's anything that we can follow up with and answer for you. Of course, on behalf of everyone here at UB, thanks so much to our great panel. We appreciate you all taking the time to share your time and expertise with us and share what your institutions are doing and your perspective on this very interesting time period that we are all working and living through. Thanks again to our audience for joining us today. I do hope you found our discussion and presentation here informative and useful to you. Producing webinars like this one is just part of our mission here at UB to inform college and university leaders like you about the latest news and trends in higher ed management. You'll find more coverage about issues such as the ones we discussed here in the pages of our print magazine, as well as on our website and digital edition, through additional webinars like this one, and through our various e-newsletters, which you can sign up for right on our website. And as I mentioned before, if you're interested in going back over the content of this discussion at your own pace, or if you want to share with your colleagues, anyone on your team at your institution, keep an eye out for a follow-up email that you'll receive later on with links to the slides as well as the archive recording, and it will also be archived on our website here on the URL on your screen. So if you want to go back over it, you'll have ample opportunity to do that, so don't worry about that. Okay, so that is it for today's event. Once again, thank you all so much for joining us. Thanks to our great panel, and thanks to our sponsor, Campus Management. for their generous support. And to our audience, goodbye, everyone, and take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks so much for joining us today.